Peter just sent an email. He's not going to be here.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 31st, Litchfield Capital Improvement Planning Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:06 and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have 3 members absent this evening, therefore we do not have a quorum, so we're not going to be able to vote on anything. With that stated, we can open up public input. It is normal that we do 2 public input, one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end of the meeting. Are there any members of the public who would like to issue comment? Seeing that we have none online, we'll go to the first order of business, which is the approval of meeting minutes of August 17th, 2020. Since we do not have a quorum, we cannot act upon that. So we'll move on to the second item this evening, which is the work session. I believe our intent here was to take the spreadsheet that NRPC had put together and try to even load projects throughout the years. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. Hopefully everybody can see the screen.
Yes.
Can everybody see the screen?
I can see the screen.
See the screen, you can't read it,
I may want to get a little bit bigger if you could, please.
All right, let me see if I can do that. All right, so I see it as giant. Let me see how it's appearing here. All right, bear with me. Can you see the whole thing?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to see the view that you see.
We have that, right?
I think this is the one that you sent us on August 20th.
Okay, it went away. It is indeed. I'm going to try again. Oops. Now let me think. I know I am sharing in Excel, so it still looks small, right?
That's all right. I think we can make do, right? You guys have it?
Definitely. I
I'm
have it.
trying to think.
Steve, can you send it to me? Because I can't go that far back.
Just-
on there.
Sure.
I just forwarded it. Check your email and see if.
Okay.
All right, I'm trying to make it bigger.
No, that's a little bit better. Thank you.
All right, can you see
Slide
it?
over there if you need.
I can see.
Okay. Yep.
All right, so just by way of brief explanation, I think it's pretty obvious. It is what I sent you earlier. There is one change. One of the things that we do need to ultimately do is assign priorities. So as you can see here, we have column D, and that's where you put the priority rank in. Scrolling down to the bottom, and I'm doing this because I can't see the whole thing at once since I enlarged it. Maybe you can. The priority ranks that we had previously were urgent, committed. Urgent's obvious. Committed means that it's either already committed funding-wise or it's compulsory because you're mandated to do it. I don't know that we have any of those. Necessary is obvious. Desirable is obvious, I think. And then I put DR as deferrable. So that means it's a project that we think has merit but can be deferred out of the funding period. So in a case of deferrable, you would still list the project. It just wouldn't be funded within the 6-year period. Our research means it needs more research. And then I is obviously inconsistent. We don't have to stick with those. What the statute says is that you have to rank them in terms of urgency. But nevertheless, these are the ones that we've used in the past. I arbitrarily, not entirely arbitrarily, I just made up ranks just to stick something in the column for conversation's sake. I'm not wedded to these in any way. I just filled in the blanks basically. So that's what we have. Otherwise, it's the same as what you saw before.
So I think there is one change that I'd at least like to talk about. I know at the budget committee meeting last Thursday, Mr. Zibicki, you and I had this conversation about the 600,000 or so that's coming as a result of the September 16th special election.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And once those funds are received, that I guess the intention is to put that into the capital reserve account. and for the purpose of the HVAC systems, correct? And maintenance of
Infrastructure in general.
infrastructure in general. So that 600,000, whatever that exact dollar amount is, should actually come out of this plan, right? If that's an infrastructure change that you've already included in this
I
plan.
wouldn't necessarily say we take it out because, I mean, what's in here is strictly for HVAC. That $660,000 is going to be for infrastructure. It could be for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, a perfect example is GMS just cost us about, what, $70,000, $80,000 for the electrical.
The electrical, yeah.
So, I mean, that's how that bill's going to get.
Yeah, that's fine. I know last week it was specifically talked about as HVAC related, which is why I brought it up tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily HVAC related. I mean, that's not where the focus, I mean, it's not to say that some of those monies won't be used for HVAC improvements, but the amount of improvements we need for HVAC that are in this plan are considerably more than that $660,000.
Agree.
Definitely.
Okay, then we leave it as is.
So was that money marked for infrastructure repairs? Okay. Okay.
And just for reference, what I've done in cases where there's revenue coming in from another source that offsets it, so as an example, and there may be more examples that we should add, I'm highlighting the 2009 plow truck where it was indicated that there was a trade-in. I just noted that here in parentheses, that there was that $45,000 trade-in. So what we're showing is minus that trade-in. But we, so we indicated it at least somewhere. So if we do have an example of more funds coming in, we can offset it that way.
But I mean, just one small problem with those funds is we're going to have our public meeting Wednesday to announce the funds and what we're planning to do. Then it's not for 2 more weeks before the public has an opportunity to vote as to whether or not those funds even come to the school district or whether or not they go back to town.
Right.
So right now, that money is kind of like in limbo.
I think probably the key on this, I should say perhaps the key here is really looking at that bottom line. And as you can see, there's, obviously a considerable shift. I mean, basically you've got an increase from 21, to 22, then you drop, and then you jump pretty substantially. You jump pretty substantially again, and then you go down again. Whether or not that's okay, or there's any desire to shift things around to even them out, obviously that's going to be your call, but I just draw attention to it.
Well, I think without the quorum, we can't vote to make any changes on this anyways.
No,
That's
I mean,
true.
the only thing we could do is use it as a working session by ranking.
Yep.
What we want to do. And after that, I think we need to wait for everybody.
Agree.
Even if we rank right now, then the other 3 members may come in and change that
the
ranking
ranking.
also.
All right, but at least
we can start the process.
Yeah.
Right.
So from a committee perspective, the first, I know we had talked about competing priorities, but the first priority we talked about was obviously GMS, right? And so
Yes.
where does that fall in terms of your rating scale? Be stick with the urgent through inconsistent. In my mind, it would be urgent as the top priority of this committee in this plan. I don't know.
Now, Jay, what was the definition of urgent again?
Urgent, I mean, essentially it means that this is a project that really has to happen with little or no delay.
Okay.
And if we think about
It
the
would-
planning on that, if it's, going to town voting in 2023, is likely not going to be up and live until 2025,
At least.
at least, right? I mean, so that's still 5 years out.
It's urgent from the standpoint of we need to start planning for it and getting monies in line to do the research.
I see Michelle raising her hand.
Can I don't mean to
Standing
interrupt,
yourself.
and normally I wouldn't even speak during this meeting. I just wanted to point out that we have to apply for building aid next year. And that means getting all the application completed this year. And I wanted to go back for a second to your funding conversation. On the individual project sheets that we submitted for the capital plan, we actually identified funding, and that 666 or approximately 666,000 that's coming, that's identified on 1 or 2 of those project sheets. So I just wanted to make the committee aware of that.
Thank you.
Was some of that funding on the LMS vestibule? Or was that another one that? funds were
No,
used?
I think that was different.
Different funding for that? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think some of it was though, because we
I'll
didn't
just-
receive,
I'll just-
Corey will know.
Can I speak
Of course.
for a second, Mr. Corey? The LMS vestibule project, that's, there's $100,000 that we've been awarded from the state infrastructure grant from a couple of years ago. We also encumbered funds from FY20 budget to cover a good portion of that. So I'm not foreseeing any of the 660 to go towards that.
Right.
Okay, thank you. So do we want to put the GMS project as U for urgent?
Yep.
I think we should.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we have that.
Next up would be police.
Police would be the next one, I would say. And we have, it's another, we always said there was 1A and 1B, so I assume that's another urgent
I agree.
that we
'Cause
need.
what's the next choice after urgent?
Committed.
Committed.
Necessary. Oh, well, committed, yeah, but that's only if it applies. It usually doesn't. So the next one would be necessary.
Okay. I think we go with urgent also.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Then the fire department.
In the fire, we have the one tanker, which I know they want to put on the warrant this year. So therefore, that would fall under urgent also. If it's going to happen in the season.
Yeah.
Is it urgent or is it necessary?
That's where I'm
Yeah,
debating it myself.
I would think it's necessary.
because that's the 1991 that was starting to have, we're going to have some insurance issues with, was it, Troy?
I would say due to its age, the town, I would still say it's urgent.
But didn't we get something back about from the insurance standpoint?
Well, as of right now, due to its age, if it were involved in an accident, you're only going to get, whatever value it is. You're not going to get replacement value.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's a reason for classifying it as urgent. I think just due to the fact that this is emergency equipment and the age of this piece of equipment,
It's
I think
29 years old.
I think
so.
it's urgent
Right,
that,
it'll be 31 years old by the time it's out of service.
yeah, by the time you get in service, this is urgent.
Passes, yeah. So I think we need to classify that one also as urgent.
But then if that's the case, then on the next slide item for the 1995 fire engine, I would probably say that's desirable.
That's what I would think also.
The second one?
Yeah,
The,
second
the
one.
third one, yeah, the second
I
truck.
mean, the
but-
second,
yeah.
second fire truck.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, desirable.
Is there a desirable?
Yes.
Yep.
So there's urgent, necessary.
Desirable, deferrable, research, and inconsistent.
Where are those?
Very bottom of
At
that
the bottom of the
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet?
I don't have it.
Yeah,
No,
it's in blue.
Yeah, that must be a different spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jay said that he made that one change, he filled that in, so it's not the one that we
Oh.
actually have in front
Right,
of
so
us.
it's on the screen here.
Okay.
The other thing I would say is that the reasoning for going to get another fire truck, I wouldn't place the fact that all you're going to get is replacement value if you're getting into an accident. Because I think $660,000 is a lot of money to spend for insurance, just if you're concerned about replacement.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think I think it's good knowledge that we're aware that if the vehicle's in an accident, we're only going to get fair market value for coverage.
If you trade it in, all you're going to
But
get.
that's not a reason to
Not definitely
indicate the
not reasonable,
ranking.
something new that we-
I think it's the fact that it's a tanker. It's something that transports water. It's 30-something years old. Takes another year maybe to get it. Maybe tankers aren't as bad as the engines, but about a year. I think it's an urgent piece of equipment.
I agree. And the second one, desirable.
Yep.
Yep. All right, now we're coming down to the annual road improvement program. Something we do every single year in order to keep up with the highway department and the needs of the roads in town.
Yeah, I would classify this per J as necessary.
Yep.
So I think you you could break that one. You got two.
Well, we have the operating budget and a warrant article.
Right. So do you
Right.
break those? Do you treat those separately?
Yeah, because, I mean, you don't, I guess you don't have to, but if it's in the operating budget, we usually don't look at it quite the same way. I mean, I put it in as, the additional request, but I mean, you could rank them both if you'd like. They're both here, so.
Because the last 2 years, we didn't raise and appropriate. We decided not to.
Right.
We worked off just the block grant.
So yeah, you could certainly break it out and provide a different
So,
rank for
then I would
operating
say-
and for the warrant article.
Then I would say maybe if we're taking that approach, the operating budget's necessary, but the warrant article is desirable.
Desirable depending on the year and what we want to get done from a paving standpoint.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's necessary to maintain the $200,000 in the operating budget, but again, that's block grant.
Block grant. And hopefully it
And the
doesn't
warrant
fluctuate.
article, that's a question for taxpayers. In order to keep up with your maintenance of your highway, it's desirable. It could be necessary or desirable.
We also talked about, the end of year funds and how this is an easier one to absorb for encumbrance related purposes if in the event you're lucky enough to have that.
Yes.
Right.
Backhoe.
That's the workhorse of both the highway department and the solid waste department. If that goes down, both of those departments kind of go down. So I would go with that's necessary.
Why would something like that go just in a warrant article? Or into your budget? It's a vehicle similar to like a police vehicle, fire vehicle.
But it's over 50,000. I think that's why.
It would be, in my opinion, it would be a warrant article. Well, especially if we're going to be doing the
No,
lease
no,
purchase.
I know it's gonna be a warrant article, but like police vehicles, and I know you just said it's over X amount of money, and that's what we said we'd look at, but I mean, police vehicles, if you take both of them, when you have a year, you're replacing two, would actually fall into this also.
Yes, but there is a change in mentality with the police vehicles for this current year where they're going to, instead of doing the 212, they're going to, I believe the plan is to do one, and the one cost is under the $50,000 threshold.
We're trying to get back to that 1-1.
I think it's close. I think it's like 48,000, but, but it's under 50.
I think the practice in this town with police cruisers is they've put it in the, I'm sure the budget committee and the selectmen have gone back and forth on this over many years. And consistently for at least over 5 years, it's been an operating budget expense. At some point in time, this town must have decided, because it's truly operating, they decided to treat cruisers like copying paper and paper clips, that it's an important part of operating a police department. And the risk of having it out there as a warrant article and having a no means no, the consequences are dire. So that's why it's really the only equipment that we purchase is the police cruisers that is operating budget. The rest of all, the backhoes, the fire trucks, the plow trucks, the pickup trucks are always warrant articles.
So what is, remind me, what is the current age of the backhoe?
So that's what makes this one difficult in the ranking. It's what is it, 8? It's a 2000. So it's a 10 year, is it 2000? It says, where is the backhoe gone?
It says 40K trade-in, 8-year lease.
I thought we were saying we were hitting 8 years or 10 years.
We're getting close. We have a lot of
10
hours
years.
on it, and that's
And
the biggest thing.
So because it's used every single day, we're at a point right now where we know maintenance going forward could be anywhere from $15,000 per occurrence. We have a good opportunity. We're at that point where we believe we'd get a really good trade-in value, and the municipal purchase price is very competitive. So you can get yourself into a new vehicle that's used every day. It's going to be almost maintenance-free because it'll have a warranty, and obviously dependable for the highway department and the solid waste. never really going to be down out of service.
I would say this is necessary
I was
because
gonna say, sir.
Because two departments rely on it.
you rely upon it, but
It's also has some
it's not, I wouldn't classify it as urgent, which is the one I was,
It's not
steering
urgent.
towards,
No.
because it is still operational.
Yep, you could
Definitely.
continue to run that thing for another
10 years.
8-10 years if you want to
You
take
have a
on the
higher
maintenance.
operational cost, but you'll still get the work out of it.
Now we're onto the trucks, F-350, 450, and another 350.
So
What's replacement versus what's new in addition?
So there is only one new, the new plow truck 8-year lease, and that's scheduled for 2021. And
Okay.
that is to actually bring an additional new truck onto the fleet. And what we're hearing is due to the growth that we've had over the past several years and anticipated going forward, we really need to have an additional truck added to the fleet. So that's the new. That's adding a new truck to the fleet. And the replacements would be, what we have here right now is the 2000 plow truck. And that's one of those ones you always wonder every year if it's going to pass inspection. It's a 20-year-old plow truck that we purchased through state auction.
that's the big orange one, right?
So at some point in time, the state of New Hampshire decided it was time for it to be traded in and move on. And it worked out fine for us. But now it's not something you can rely on. You don't even know if it's going to pass inspection.
So I think
we're
that
talking a
one
total
is-
of 6 trucks, right? One new, 5 are replacing.
Yeah, I mean, then you got your front end loader that we're using. We got some pickup trucks we're using. We contract some trucks out. So
We got
but we're-
Weatherstone coming on this year, so that's going to be a
You got
plow route
Weatherstone, you got
itself.
Cross, and you've had streets that's been added in the last few years. Hamel is one of those developments, and up in Heron Way. So there's, we didn't add any trucks, so we've absorbed those streets.
I know the committee may disagree, but I'm almost viewing the new plow truck as desirable and the replacements to existing to maintaining the fleet is necessary.
Mhm.
I agree.
But do you view the new plow truck as actually desirable and not urgent or necessary because of the new streets and the argument for growth in town?
Well, we haven't any new streets since last winter.
Weatherstone
Weatherstone will be coming on,
this winter.
not this winter, but it'll be coming on. We haven't accepted the road yet.
Okay, so it would be
So I would assume it's going to be coming on in 2021/22.
Okay.
So a year
So
from
going
now.
into this winter, there's no additional streets.
And then right after that, the next one coming online will be what? Firefly? Is that the name of the new one?
Firefly, I assume, will be coming right
2 years
after that.
That's this one?
Yeah.
Right here.
And the only other point is that we are finding it more difficult to hire contractors that have the trucks fully equipped with the wing plows, the front plow, and the sander. So it is easier for us to have our own trucks. They're reliable. They're set up the way we want them set up. They got the equipment we want, and we can hire operators a lot easier than hiring an operator with a truck. So some of our truck drivers that we hired last year, they came with just a plow truck, but no sander, no wing plow, and it had an impact on our operation. You really don't want plow trucks out on your street without wing plows and sand and salters in the back. But if all you can get is someone with a plow, that's what we've got.
Classify them all as necessary.
I guess I'm still at the same point where I think it's desirable.
For the new one.
I think the replacement of the current fleet is absolutely necessary,
Yes.
given the age and.
Yep.
But I
That
think,
20-year-old orange one's probably not going to run again.
I think the new plow truck, could we make do with the current fleet? Maybe, probably.
Depending on what we pick up for contract workers.
Yeah.
I think is really what it would come down to.
I think the new, in my mind, is still desirable, especially with the new street not coming on for another year or two.
I can go with that.
Is that a consensus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, of us three.
Of the three people. Could come back around again.
Yeah.
Okay, the loader.
I just thought of something maybe we should do like for saving time for our next meeting is ask the other three members. Well, if someone can send them our rankings, or not even send us their rankings, but have them rank everything the same way.
Yep.
And then we can just get together and say, here's what we came up with.
It'd make it a lot quicker at the next meeting.
Yeah. So they have homework.
I think the loader is necessary. I think the salt shed is desirable. I think the highway parking lot is also desirable.
Desirable. I agree.
Yep.
Look at that, moving right along.
Yep.
The recreation repaved parking lot at Dara.
Desirable.
Yeah. As much as it's needed, it's desirable.
Library research.
Yes. You agree, Brian?
The research?
For library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More research has to be done.
Conservation Commission. I would say this is deferrable.
It's what?
Deferrable. The town operations still go on whether or not that happens. I understand the importance. I certainly understand and appreciate Ms. McKibben's presentation to the committee.
Yeah.
But in terms of force ranking this, I think it would fall probably most closely to deferrable.
Okay. And by deferrable, that means that in the final spreadsheet, we would include, leave the item in of the ranking, but we wouldn't include the funding.
Well, but in spirit of planning, right, is that against what this committee talked about?
Well, I think we always said is we wanted everything to be in the plan, but then we were going to have an output of what we wanted to present, thinking it was the most important needs of the town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's still captured in the master plan.
But there'd be no dollar amount to it.
We could have,
Exactly.
there'll be no dollars. So,
And then it's out of our purview, like at that point.
Right.
so I was hoping that we could have, these are the actionable items this committee feels, but also still have the other plan behind it where it captures it.
I feel like if it's not in this particular document, it'll be hard to get voter approval for it.
Yeah.
Right. And so if
So
we
you put it
say,
as desirable?
right. So if we say it's desirable, at least the dollar amount's still in here and it's planning, it's still going to go to
So we
warrant.
don't want to kill it by not.
Right. That's not my
by ranking
intention.
it, yeah.
All right. Desirable.
Okay, so that concludes municipal. Now we are on to the school.
All right. We said the new elementary is urgent.
Yep.
Now we're talking to the energy efficiency, and it's some of this is hard because it's all intertwined.
It really is.
Like if this doesn't happen, then you need to do this. So, I mean, obviously, energy efficiency is that urgent or necessary? I mean, given the age, it's the same conversation we really just had on the fire truck. I mean,
Yeah.
I would probably say the energy efficiency, because of really what that is all the replacement of the HVAC systems. It's not just energy efficiency replacing light bulbs.
No, I mean,
This
that's
is
part of it.
This is core infrastructure changes to the entire building. I would actually put these as both urgent, or maybe LMS is urgent and CHS, given it's the newer school, is necessary. I don't know.
They're both in pretty bad shape.
I get it.
Did anybody ever calculate the ROI on those?
I don't know if at this time, I mean, a lot of information is coming in right now
Yep.
as far as the works of it. My understanding at CHS right now, there's one component that they're looking to replace, which is like the master brain for all the systems.
Yep.
Because what's there is outdated and it's not working. So now they can be replacing that with something that, we control like through Windows. So that itself, I think is going to open up quite a bit. So, I mean, if you were to say one of them is urgent, absolutely LMS is.
Yeah.
And then if you want to say CHS necessary, I can agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. GMS, we can't even.
It's beyond urgent.
Yeah, I know. And the tough part is you don't want to touch it
Yeah.
if we're going to have a new school. But if the new school doesn't go through, then we're going to have to do something
Right.
about it. So that one's the one that needs to be done the most is probably the one that could be the furthest out.
We'll keep putting Band-Aids on it for now.
Okay. Parking lot, CHS.
Desirable.
I agree.
Yep, desirable.
Same thing with the kitchen at LMS.
I said it's necessary.
Why?
Lack of workspace.
Is it desirable even in the event that fifth grade moves over to the new GMS replacement?
I would say either way, they need sufficient workspace to work, and it's just really, I don't know how many folks have been in there. It's really, really small and compact. And when you have 3 or 4 people walking around there trying to get lunches served and prep, it's a task.
I remember, and I'm reflecting back to one of our committee meetings from a while ago at this point where we were talking about this. There was one comment that was made specifically on the LMS kitchen and said that the wait staff or the kitchen staff wasn't even aware of this ask. And if you were to ask anybody in the kitchen staff, their kitchen space is adequate. So I'm trying to balance the ask versus also what I've heard, which could be just a rumor. I don't know.
I mean,
At one point, did we cook out of that kitchen?
From all of them.
I'm sorry. Did we cook out of the kitchen? I think we did at one point, years ago.
That's what I'm curious. If we did cook out of there at one point, how many children were we serving? Because we're only cooking out of what?
Right back then, like 500 plus
We're only cooking now, what, at Campbell?
for the most part. Both schools cook a little, but
Yep.
not a lot.
I'm sorry, Corey, what did you say?
I was just noting that in my conversation with the food service director staff down there, they're all, they would like, I think they would all like to see that the space be bigger for them to work in.
Yeah. I think if we put this as desirable, it's still funded in here. It's still prioritized, and it's still going to go to the school board to make a decision on whether to put it towards a vote.
I agree.
So I would say D.
I can go with D. Yep.
And again, under the spirit of we're not saying it's deferrable and zeroing it out. It's
Correct.
still here. It's still a priority if the school board chooses to make it one.
Next we have is CHS Gym Bleachers. And if I remember correctly, the issue here is their age and
Safety.
breaking apart safety.
Switching
Switching
the
it.
mechanisms behind
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
That's why I'd say necessary.
I think it's necessary. I mean, we utilize that gym.
Yep. I agree.
CHS Stadium Turf Field.
Urgent.
So you're going to get pushed back on this one. I mean, and to me, this one is actually deferrable.
I think so also.
No matter what I say, I think the other 3 members will probably agree. So
LMS additional classrooms, 30% state aid. So that one comes into play
GMS.
if GMS does not happen.
Oh, so this is the addition. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
This is where one part plays on the other part.
Yeah. So this is one, Jay, in the plan where if GMS passes, this is actually going to be zeroed out.
So probably it's an I with no funding, obviously with explanation in the text, but
Yeah, you got to put an
because
asterisk back up to the
because
other
the
one.
plan shows the new elementary as a top priority and urgent, then if this is the alternative, it would make sense to have it in here listed, but put it in there as an I.
Is there a way, can we add a comment to this that's saying it's contingent? So, you know, if somebody
Yes.
in 3 years from now is not on this board and they're trying to go back and understand this, they can understand our rationale behind it?
Yes, we will put a footnote
You know what that,
right under here with that it'll be in the text, but we'll put it on the spreadsheet. We can put a footnote right down here.
It'll be
That-
contingent
that
on
clear.
the first line item passing.
Right.
then I think at the same time, we should put in GMS, HVAC update also.
That's a good point.
If the school doesn't pass,
I'll
then
do that with the same, and then we'll asterisk that as well. Good point.
And you'd probably want to try the GMS parking lot to that also, right?
Yep.
Same thing?
Yep.
Yep, because they're all contingent upon each
Well,
other.
LMS is too, because the LMS parking lot's the idea you get rid of the portables.
right.
That's true, yep. So the parking lot's also contingent. So the last three of the last 4 line items.
And that does wonders for this bottom line.
Well, yeah, it takes the spike out of the, was it 4.9 million and reduces it significantly so it's more flat.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, really, it takes two of this, yeah, I mean, it takes the spike out, but here, you know, this all evens out much more significant.
So it looks real good on paper.
Yes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
still
It'll look a
Yeah.
lot
asking the
better.
taxpayers for $2.5, $3 million more a year. Yeah, okay. So I think that concludes our ranking.
Yeah, it's about as far as we can take it.
So
Right.
capital
We
reserve.
do have the capital reserve fund is the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a summary. Guess not. So this is increasing the fund by 100 grand a year? Or is this,
I think this was to give us money to do repairs at the school without. just to
Corey, do
build
you no, Corey's on. He may.
Okay.
Corey, do you recall exactly how this works?
I think it's to replenish the fund as we spend from it. Pretty much is the kind of the way we look at it as we draw down funds, because there's a lot of those projects come down the road. We're going to be drawing against those funds, so we're going to want to replenish, make sure we have something for emergencies and such.
but this is the same fund where you're also going to deposit likely the 660 grand.
There's 2 separate capital reserves for the school district. There's a facilities and maintenance capital reserve and a capital improvement reserve that was established this year at the vote. I think the 100,000 was to go into the facilities maintenance and repairs.
So that would be utilized if we needed a new
In
roof
front
on
of me.
Campbell?
Keep in mind, it's 20 years old.
That's why.
Actually, Corey's right.
Not even mention how old LMS is.
Yeah, 100,000 won't even cover it though.
It's the beginning.
Maybe a septic, you know?
Oh, we could raise it if you want.
Well, I'm just, this is planning,
Yeah.
right? We should be honest.
And I think part of the thought process too is, again, if GMS takes place, then it's one big piece that you don't have to worry about. And then you're also fixing several other portions of like the parking lots on both LMS and GMS.
So I guess I would say this is necessary. I know it's listed as desirable at the moment, but I'd actually say this is necessary.
I agree.
I mean, I think with the age of the all 3 schools are old, but I think we definitely need to have this because there's going to be repairs coming up.
Oh, yeah. Well, and
Especially
again,
with the
we
age
just
of-
had a $70,000 or $80,000 transformer blow up, right? I mean, where does that money come from? if Primex doesn't cover it.
I know. We need a place for it.
I feel good about necessary here. I don't know.
I think it's necessary
I agree.
because of the what ifs. I mean, we just had a $70,000 what if.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So,
All right.
in terms of kind of next steps with this committee, I know I'm big on forcing what's next, right? But I think without a quorum tonight, it kind of delays our next steps, because ultimately the idea was we were going to present to the planning board, we were going to present to the board of selectmen,
We would have a public
we were going to have a
meeting.
public meeting, we were going to do a recording, but now this is essentially going to be delayed another 2 weeks, which puts us out
This puts us out at September
13th.
Or is it possible we could have
No,
another,
14th.
14th.
is it possible we could just expedite things and have another meeting next week to
I think
consolidate
the
both?
board's meeting next week.
Next week is Labor Day.
Oh,
Don't
sure.
forget that.
Yeah, we're meeting on the 14th, so next meeting we couldn't have be till the 21st if we stayed with the Monday
I
nights.
just feel like
Or can we select another night and just get together sooner?
Yeah, we can pick another night and
yeah, I think I'd like to do that because
if we need
at
to.
some point we
I don't
need to
think we
wrap
want to
this
wait
up.
3 weeks out to get together as a group again, then
Then to
consolidate
vote and then to do it. You know what I mean? It's
When's the next school board meeting?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. When's the next budget?
not till the end of September, the 24th.
24th, okay. We have a second, so I mean,
And that's the other thing is after the 24th is when we begin
It's
the
our
weekly
budgets.
meetings.
yes, that's when yours
Really
really
is.
starts ramping up. So we even have to do something.
When's the next, maybe Troy knows, when's the next planning board meeting?
Tomorrow evening.
After that one.
2 weeks.
After that's the 15th.
I wonder if we can agree, or at least mention it out in an email to the committee that do you think we'll be ready to present to the planning board on the 15th? If we don't, then it's not going to be until the 29th.
They're the first and third, so it's actually going to be even longer than that.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be in October.
So I think the
October
first thing to do is
Just
just get a
late.
meeting together before that planning
Before
board
that.
meeting.
Agree, but I
And
mean,
I would think that after that meeting, we should be able to like prepare and get ready to present to the planning board.
right, so if they're meeting on the 15th and, say we need a week, if that, to get our materials together for that meeting for the presentation.
The 8th is election day.
Yeah, I mean, ideally as a committee, we're meeting
The 10th is.
like next week, the 2nd or 3rd, right? Or somewhere in that time frame.
That's this week.
You're gonna have to meet next week if you want to get
You're right.
have it ready for the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's either end of this week or beginning
Right.
of next week in order to.
And that means picking a non-Monday essentially.
So I mean, it's either we either have to do the 3rd or the 9th or 10th, right?
So Sean Flynn just texted or emailed and said, I agree that we should have our next meeting as soon as we all can.
I think it might be aggressive with public notice periods to do it this week, but I think if we can target 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere next week to get it scheduled. I don't know what other committees have this room or.
The 8th is.
Mr. Brunel's on.
Is
right?
recreation
The 8th
is
is
the
rec, but they're doing it remote still. So this room could be utilized. I'll be at the poll, so I won't be available, but that's fine.
The 9th is ZBA. The 10th it's open, I think, which is a Thursday.
So
I think we planned the 10th.
yeah, the 8th, the 10th, we have to.
And then it's going to be a fast turnaround if we're going to present to the planning board on the 15th. But I would ask for anyone, Jay, you're going to be at the planning board meeting tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if we can just tentatively put in on their agenda for the 15th, a presentation of the capital improvement plan to that board. if you could communicate that, that'd be appreciated.
Yep, I
I
can do
know
that.
Chairman Croto sent out, and he got one member of the planning board wrote back. He was going to bring it up tomorrow evening for the rest of the members to give input.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure we can accommodate it on the 15th.
And then will Chairman Croto be our spokesperson for the planning board? Is he going to present to the planning board the capital improvement plan? Or should it be somebody independent of that board?
Certainly as chair, that wouldn't be inappropriate if he's comfortable doing that.
You know, I mean, if a couple of us are available, we could be there for input also to help explain if he has any questions or any other questions.
Right.
arise.
And I'll be there as well, so.
I think Jay will be there.
It will be covered.
There also, so I think we've got it covered from that standpoint.
Okay.
That at least gets us the input from the planning board on the 15th.
Yeah, I don't want to put Chairman Croto on the spot for that, but if he's chair and he's there.
Chairman is there, and he wasn't able to make it this evening, so
That's true.
we will sign him up. But I can reach out to him and ask.
Okay.
I think he'd be comfortable doing it.
And I'll talk to him tomorrow anyway.
Good, thank you. So I think we should target, what, the 10th?
Yes. And
Jay, is your schedule flexible for the 10th?
Yes.
Troy?
I'm open. Yeah.
so after the 15th, again, just looking at the calendar here, after the 15th, the Board of Selectmen, well, will the public, I'm trying to remember the order of events. I don't have my computer.
Public was going to be
The
next.
public, and so how much notice? It's 2 weeks for that, right?
2 weeks
For a
public?
public hearing?
7 days would be okay, but it's kind of short. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think something around 10 days would be good, but.
We might have a better understanding too after the 10th.
Yeah.
If we're like, fully ready to bring it to the planning board, you probably establish a date as far as when you're gonna do it for the public.
Yeah.
And then be able to give them more notice.
Right.
Because I think we spoke last time, the
9.
Board of Selectmen to let us get through the budgets. That would bring us to the first meeting in October is when we wanted to bring it to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
9:15.
At that point, our budget will be over to the Budget Committee.
Yeah, but then you're also presenting the budget on that first Thursday, the 1st of October.
Yes, that's why we had talked last meeting to get it deeper into October.
Okay,
We're
so
supposed
if,
to be done this in July.
That was the ultimate goal.
I thought.
so if September 15th is the planning board meeting, the next step is the public hearing. That would be somewhere like the 20, if you're doing 10 days with the weekend, you're probably at like September 28th, 29th.
And that would be the Board of Selectmen meeting that Monday. So this room wouldn't be open for that. So we'd have,
Could we do it on the 24th? I mean, that's 9 days. Well, actually, that's the budget committee meeting.
That's still okay though, because you can still schedule your public hearing, and then go to the planning board. And then if the planning board recommends changes, you can just raise those at the public hearing.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting trying to think about the date, right?
should we do public input October 5th?
Or is that just too late?
Yeah, you're going way out.
But I'm just trying to see when the room, because the next time the room's available, if we went shot for Mondays, it'd be the 21st, unless we went to a Thursday, which is the 24th,
Which is the budget committee.
which is the budget committee, so we
I
can't do
want to,
that.
what if we're aggressive when we do September 23rd, Wednesday? That's 8 days.
Troy, anything on the calendar for the 23rd?
Of October, September.
Yes.
Well, I had here that, when were you going to plan to meet with the Board of Selectmen?
Well, so that's after the public hearing. I'm trying to get into that date next.
Yeah.
Our
So
talk
9/28, I had down here that you were going to meet with the Board of Selectmen. No?
That's, if we do it on the 23rd, then we could do it on the 28th or defer to the next
October 12th, which gets us out of budget completely from the selectman standpoint.
Yeah.
Right.
Our meetings have been very lengthy lately. As Brian knows from his school meetings.
So we're going to have the 14th with the Board of Selectmen, which your agenda is full because it's all budget work.
Sorry.
But the 28th, I think you could do the 28th for CIP. And
Okay,
we would still do some budget work
Because we gotta be
because
ready for what, October 1st for the budget, right?
October 1st,
When we're presenting it.
yeah.
So that's why I was trying to keep the 28th open for any cleanup work that had to be done prior to the 1st.
Right. But a lot of this ties into warrant articles and stuff. So I mean, if you,
So we're talking 23rd and 28th right now?
Well, so I guess the first question is September 23rd open to do a public hearing?
September 23rd,
Yes.
looks like it's wide open then.
All right. So that's the date we tentatively plan. And then we talk about if you're comfortable, Chairman Weber, on September 28th, rolling this in. Otherwise, it's waiting 2 weeks.
And I think the sooner we do
Oh,
it,
I
the better.
see. I didn't know you wanted to do the I thought you wanted to meet with the Board of Selectmen before you did public hearing.
No, other way around.
Because we want to get the public input just in case we want to tweak the plan
Okay.
prior to.
All right. Yeah. That would work.
Okay.
And then maybe what you do is you just keep the CIP on the Board of Selectmen's agenda for the 28th with the flexibility of being able to move it out into October if we have to.
Yep. Okay.
So we'll be looking at 9:10 for a CIP meeting,
Yes.
Yes.
9:15 planning board,
Yes.
and 9:23 public hearing,
Yes.
And 9/28 select.
and 9:28 BOS.
And then after that session, we'll have to schedule the date to do the recording. Right? To get out to the public.
Excuse me, Troy,
Yeah,
is the zoning board meeting on the 10th?
on September the 10th. It's a Thursday. I don't have them. No, they meet on the 9th.
Oh, okay, just
Wednesday
making
night.
sure.
Yeah.
Or you're right, you just record one of the other sessions.
Presentation to
Yeah.
selectmen.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about. And that'd be the second go around, so it'll be,
Yeah.
polished. Or you even suggested too that an individual came in this room and someone from TV recorded.
I thought that's what we were originally talking about, but
Yeah.
if there's a way to do it,
There's a way of doing it live. I mean.
Together, yeah.
And just being able to put it out.
LCTV can accommodate whatever you guys choose to do.
Thank you.
Excellent.
We have a full professional studio if you want to get fancy.
oh yes, the green wall, I remember that. Put me on the hot seat again. All right, I feel like we have the plan.
I think so. It looks that way.
Yeah, between us.
Buying next. Hopefully they can accommodate the 10th.
And the 15th and the 23rd and the 28th.
Well, the 3 chairs, I mean, just saying.
We can make it work.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any other business? Jay, did you have anything else?
I do not.
Troy, did you have anything?
Nothing.
So the survey that went out,
Did it go out?
No.
I don't think it did.
We're
I didn't see
going to
it.
discuss it tomorrow at the planning board.
okay, I thought what came to us was a survey as far as all the questions and that type of thing.
No, I think that was
Because we're
just
looking for
a
input.
sample for input.
Okay, so we don't have the survey as of yet.
No, we don't. I mean, frankly, we got divergent input. So I think it's a matter of really deciding what we want the survey to say.
All right, because I thought we were going to get the survey at this meeting originally to discuss.
Originally, that was the hope, but we sent it out to department heads for comment. We got comments from CIP members. We got comments from planning board members. And not surprisingly, it wasn't consistent. So we have to make some decisions around what we're going to include and what we're not going to include, and or how we're going to change questions.
Excellent. All right.
Okay.
Works for me.
So we'll talk about it tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get it out and, we'll look to a tight turnaround, maybe a week turnaround.
Okay, thank you. Let's open up one more public input. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak? I don't think I see any online there.
Yes,
Hearing none, we'll close it. Motion to adjourn. Well, next meeting we know is scheduled for September 10th. Motion to adjourn.
Hey,
Second?
Can't.
I'll second. All those in favor?
I can't adjourn.
Can't do anything.
so we don't have a quorum, so that means that we can't vote, so we're just here forever, right?
That's right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Everybody be well. Thank you for participating. Good night, Corey. Good night, Michelle. Good night, Jay. Be well.
Everyone.
Good night, Matthew.
Night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Russ.
I think that's off.